Hi, welcome to ProLaw series. This is a brief video about consumer movement in Europe. Europe is quite different from other countries. The European continent has many different countries. A certain number of countries have come up together called the European Union. This European Union was established, formed in 1993. Initially very less number of countries have come up together, but now presently it is expanded to 27 member countries. All these 27 member countries comprises together called as the European Union. They govern common aspects, the economic, political, social interests together in a uniform manner. There are many benefits when they work together. However, they have to give up certain aspects of sovereignty aspects and individuality, but however, there are multiple benefits when they work together. They govern, as I said, they govern common interests. For the promotion of common interests, they work together, slightly compromising here and there. Like they have single currency, where people they need not worry about moving from one country to another. The currency transfer cannot have any impact. So, the single currency aspect is one benefit. Elimination of barriers is one aspect where it is benefiting the traders in Europe. As such, there are many other benefits with European Union. So, they basically promote peace in Europe working together. It can be said as a presently as a successful organization in promoting peace in Europe. I hope you have all heard about Brexit in 2020. Brexit stands for Britain's exit. Britain has exited European Union in 2020. UK has left the organization in 2020, is now presently separately working on in its own interest. So, UK is not part of European Union anymore. So, this is brief about Europe and European Union. Now, how the evolution in Europe had taken place relating to the consumer matters can be seen as these three topics that I have divided into. The first one being the consumer cooperatives. Now, consumer cooperatives established in 1844. The first step that we can see, a positive step for consumer movement, can be seen through consumer cooperatives established in 1844. There is this town called Rochdale in England. There were harsh living conditions, inadequate consumer protection, there was adulteration of food by private traders, which was very widespread. So, these aspects inspired a group of individuals, working men, they were also part of trade. They inspired these 28 working men to adopt new approaches, new trade policies, new trade methods by providing a fair, reasonable price with a better quality of products. So, this step can be seen or can be told as one first step in Europe relating to consumer movement. So, they have taken up new approaches, new ideas to supply food and other goods for working people by setting up certain cooperative societies. So, these 28 men, as I have said, they have come up together, put a capital, certain capital, and opened a shop providing certain wholesome food at reasonable prices. So, they had certain principles as well. They formulated together which provided voluntary open membership to the people. Certain other principles relating to educational facilities was also provided. However, relating to consumer movement, that they have strived to provide better standard of products, unadulterated, wholesome food at a reasonable price. So, this is one step, the first step I can say, consumer cooperatives in Europe in 1844. So, presently these cooperatives are still in place. There are about many cooperators working in Europe presently as well. And later came the consumer unions also. So, consumer unions have come up with the efforts of Colston Vaughan. It was around 1939 he founded a consumer union in 1936, and he also worked as a president of International Consumers Union. So, he coming to his background, he was a professor of economics. He worked effortlessly for bringing out awareness among purchasers, among consumers. The result of these efforts was not much. People were not enthusiastic to involve into such matters. But looking into his efforts, he has given a lot of effort, a lifetime devotion to the interest of consumers. As I said, he is a founder of the first consumer union in 1936. He worked as a president of International Consumers Union. Some common law principles were prevalent in Europe around these period of times, where caveat subscriptor was part of common law principle. The common law principle, as we all know, when Europe spread, when Britain's the countries that they have ruled also been influenced with common law principles. One such principles relating to consumer protection come up with these two principles that you can see on screen, the caveat subscriptor and the doctrine of caveat emptor. Now, caveat subscriptor means nothing but let the seller be aware, let the language that they prefer they put into the agreements when they are signing a contract. We know that when in those times when they had to sign certain contracts, agreements, they had to they blindly have agreed and signed the contracts, falling into many difficulties. So, automatically they had to agree to the conditions that were placed in the agreement, and once the signature was given into agreements, they have signified their assent to the agreement, their acceptance was given through the signatures. So, it was regardless of whether they have read or not, they have studied in detail about the agreement or the contract or not, the signatures was provided blindly, and this put them, the vendor, the purchasers or those parties that were into the agreement, signing the agreement, into a lot of risks. So, this placed a burden on consumer to protect himself when when the consumer had to sign while purchasing certain goods. So, they had to accept those rules that were put into the agreements. Without any awareness, they had to sign and put into the difficulties. Now, coming to doctrine of caveat emptor. Caveat emptor stands for let the buyer beware. Buyers were basically supposed to beware, usually without knowing what they had to purchase, what they were usually without knowing what there was an aspect called to be beware of. So, doctrine of caveat emptor basically requires the buyer to beware while purchasing, looking into the articles, looking into the products that they purchase, to inspect all the products that they purchase before the transaction is made with the seller. However, the burden has now shifted upon the seller as compared to the earlier times. However, caveat emptor still plays an important role, where consumers are still obliged to be aware of many things presently. Though this rule does not rule the market areas now, it is still a responsibility upon the buyer to look into the details of purchase while purchasing a product. Now, coming to efforts of Colston Wong, as I mentioned, it is a lifetime devotion towards consumer interest. He was a founder of Union 1936. He also worked as president of International Consumers Union. He encouraged people to participate in consumer related aspects, but it was in vain. He could not succeed in making people participate well or bring out awareness to work for their rights. However, in between this period of time before 1956, many magazines and shoppers guides were issued. They have come into existence to educate consumers. Later, a consumer association in 1956, it was founded by Dorothy Godman, Ray Godman and Michael Young. In 1956, it looked into the aspects of defective products. This association published articles and magazines, and 3 major organizations were also established in Netherlands, Belgium and France. Constant effort by these founders have brought out a lot of awareness among people in Europe. So, around this period of time before Consumer Association 1956, around 1947 to 1957, I can say consumer revolution took place in Denmark, Switzerland, France and other countries. So, what is the present situation in European Union is how the consumer organization works in Europe is through the BEUC, the European Consumer Organization. BEUC is a short form of a French term related to certain the meaning that comes out as European Union of Consumers. There is this BEUC.org.eu. You can check out the website in detail. There is brief about this organization, the European Consumers Organization, how it works and the detailed structure, working bodies under BEUC. Now, BEUC's secretariat is located in Brussels. They work together, all the European countries work together under this BEUC to influence their trade related policies as well as consumer related aspects. Up till now, 42 organizations related to consumers from 32 different countries have been made. The outcome is much improved as compared to the earlier times. They have improved lives of consumers by including topics like competition, a fair competition, a healthy competition among traders, food, healthy and safety aspects. So, I can say that trust and cooperation among states brought out a commitment among the states, among the parties, the states of European Union, and brought out expertise in consumer related matters. So, what they do is when under EU, they always consider consumer interest while framing any kind of policies. So, benefits, as I have said, it can lead to a single market for the traders, a fair competition. The removal of barriers of the trade barriers is also one aspect that benefits the traders, resulting in healthy competition and healthy growth of businesses. Coming to the BEUC's organization, as I mentioned, it is a European organization. And it is a home for many states coming up together. They have come up together to ensure that consumers are safe, they have a better benefit. So, their main aim is to make consumers confident in European single market. As I said, single market is the European Union, where there is a single market among traders, single market in terms of trade and businesses. That is all about European Union and the consumer movement in European Union. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Stay updated with other rest of the countries' movement, how other countries have evolved in consumer related matters. Thank you.